I guess if you want to understand an issue that is as difficult to understand as campaign finance reform, you need to do some digging. You need to get some background. Certainly this country has been concerned about corruption in politics for years and years. I mean, everybody in school learns about Tammany Hall, where people were paid to vote. We learn about Cook County, Illinois, where dead people were actually on the voter rolls. Congress, for its part, hasn't been concerned so much about voter fraud as big money. Big money meaning money coming from big corporations and big unions. So in 1907, you had the Tillman Act, and the Tillman Act said that corporations couldn't make contributions to federal elections. In 1947, you had Taft-Hartley. Now, Taft-Hartley did a lot of things to unions, but one of the things it did was say you can't contribute money to federal elections. Now, in the 1970s, along came FECA, the Federal Election Commission Act. And FECA did a lot of things as well, but among the things it did, it said it required disclosure of contributions to a campaign over $100. It told unions and corporations, hey, you can contribute to a federal election, but you have to do it through a segregated fund. You can't do it through your general treasury. That's how PACs became so popular, political action committees. FECA, of course, also gave us the Federal Election Commission, but the most important thing it did is it set limits. It set financial money limits on contributions, how much you could contribute to a campaign, but also expenditures, how much a campaign candidate could spend in an election. Now, FECA, like just about everything in the United States, was litigated, and it went to the Supreme Court in a decision entitled Buckley versus Vallejo. And in Buckley versus Vallejo, the court made a couple of interesting findings. First of all, it said that money is speech. Why? Because you need a lot of money to spread your ideas in a campaign. So if money is speech and speech is protected, then the spending of money is protected. But the other thing the court said is that the government has an interest in stopping corruption, in limiting corruption, or even the appearance of corruption. If a law does just that, if it limits corruption and if it's narrowly tailored, well, it's okay if it limits our constitutional rights. Using that logic, the court upheld contribution limits, the contribution limits that said you can only give a certain amount to a candidate in a campaign, but it struck down expenditure limits. Now, in a period of time since that court made that decision, a couple loopholes appeared. First of all, you had something called soft money, and soft money is the opposite of hard money. Hard money is subject to the contribution limits. Soft money isn't. Somebody went to the Federal Election Commission and said, okay, well, if you can only spend $100 on a federal election, what about monies that are maybe for a state election or a local election or a combination of all three? And the Federal Election Commission said, okay, well, you can use soft money. Well, of course, what happens is that there's an explosion of soft money. Then there was another loophole called issue advertising, or legislative advocacy advertising. And we've all seen these ads. These are ads that don't go after a particular candidate, they go after a particular issue. But of course, they go after an issue that is so closely related to a candidate, you know exactly what candidate they're telling you to vote for, they just don't say it. So of course, it being a loophole, you saw an explosion in issue advertising. Now, I think everybody finds issue advertising maybe a little bit irritating, but the people it irritated most were the members of Congress who were the subject of the attack ads. So then you have McCain-Feingold. McCain-Feingold goes after soft money and it goes after issue advertising.